dysarrhythmias. The definition: the normal sinus rhythm we call this the SA node, that is called the pacemaker of the heart, and the pacemaker has the capacity to send the impulse that is between 60 to 100 beats per minute. That's what we commonly call as the normal heart rate, that is 60 to 100 beats, that is the range. And the dysarrhythmia is a disorder of the heart rhythm. And it is the disturbance in the electric cycle of the heart, and the disorder mainly formation in the conduction system. So normally we will call the SA node is called the pacemaker of the heart because it has the capacity to send the impulse between 60 to 100 beats per minute. So from the SA node, the impulse will be passing to the AV node, and from the AV node it will pass to the bundle of his, then spread to the Purkinje fibers. That is the normal conduction system of the heart. Coming to the etiology and risk factors, it results from disturbances in three major mechanisms: automaticity, conduction, and re-entry of impulses. Automaticity, nothing but here there will be a spontaneous activity of cardiac cells conduction, that is the impulse generation, and the conduction is an impulse generation, and the re-entry of impulses here, that is an impaired conduction. So automaticity is a spontaneous activity of cardiac cells, and the conduction is an impulse generation, and the re-entry of impulses is an impaired conduction. So firstly, see the disturbances in automaticity, that is the risk factors, mainly myocardial ischemia. So myocardial ischemia is the decreased blood supply to the myocardium, and if there is decreased left ventricular function, and any valvular heart diseases, electrolyte imbalance, any imbalance in the sodium, potassium, chloride, hypoxia, decreased oxygen level, and digitalis toxicity. Digitalis toxicity is the patient receiving the digitalis tab, digoxin for a long time, and if you are not giving a break, it may lead to toxicity, and administration of atropine. And disturbances in conduction, risk factors: myocardial ischemia, valvular heart disease, valvular surgery, or inflammation of AV node, electrolyte imbalance, again digitalis toxicity, beta blocking agents, that is metoprolol, then myocardial infarction, especially inferior wall myocardial infarction. Re-entry of impulses, risk factors: myocardial ischemia, any action of anti-dysarrhythmic medications, and myocardial fibrosis. The myocardial fibrosis mainly results from increased myofibroblast activity, also caused due to an excessive extracellular matrix deposition, and the bundle branch block. It may cause due to either right bundle or left bundle branch block. Coming to the pathophysiology, the significance of all dysarrhythmias is their effect on cardiac output. So the cardiac output normally we call as stroke volume in the cardiac heart rate. So if there is any dysarrhythmia, the patients directly it will be involving or affecting the cardiac output. So during normal sinus rhythm, the atria contract to fill and stretch the ventricle about 30% more blood, and this process, that is we call it as atrial clip, increases the amount of blood systolic volume in the ventricles before contractility. Increases cardiac output by 30%. So here when the impulses originates below the SA node, or more than one area fires in the atria to originate a beat, that is atrial fibrillation. So the normal conduction of the heart, the impulse has to be start from SA node, but in some occasion due to any effect, so instead of the starting the impulse from SA node, from anywhere in the atria, the impulse will be started generating. In this condition only we will be calling it as atrial fibrillation or atrial flutter. So there will be a loss of atrial kick, and finally the cardiac output falls, that is less than 30%. Coming to the clinical manifestations, so overall there will be a reduced cardiac output, the patient will be having palpitation and dizziness and pre-syncope. So the pre-syncope is a condition, it shows that the patient is about to develop unconsciousness, and there will be a pallor skin, you can see the skin will be pallor, And diaphoresis is an increased sweating, altered mental status. That is, the patient will be having restlessness and agitation to lethargy and may go to coma if we are not treating. Shortness of breath, chest pain, orthopnea. Orthopnea is the patient can breathe only in an upright position. And paroxysmal nocturnal dyspnea, here the patient will be having a shortness of breath at the time of night. And hypotension, sluggish scapular refill, there will be diminished scapular refill, and swelling of the extremities and decreased urine output. Coming to the diagnostic assessment, we will start from history. So history we will ask regarding onset, duration of associated manifestation, any aggravating factors, and post-medical history, any cardiovascular disease or any risk factors, any congenital disorders. Like that, we will be collecting any past history of any hospitalization, and even the patient has undergone any surgery or history of any allergy or continuously taking medication mainly. So we should ask about the digitalis and dietary habits, social habits like tobacco chewing, alcohol intake, and family history. Then we will do the physical examination. So physical examination mainly we will auscultate the heart sound. So we should know how to differentiate the heart sound. It may be slow or fast rate, irregularity, murmur. Then ECG should be monitored. Then Holter monitor. Holter monitor here we will be placing the Holter monitor to the patient for 24 hours, continuously recording the cardiac rhythm. Then invasive electrophysiology study. So here what we will do means multipolar catheter will be introduced into the venous system by giving a local anesthesia into the groin and introducing the catheter and placing the electrodes at various sites along the atria, ventricles, bundle of his and bundle branches, and assess the pathway and record here where exactly the premature beats develop. That is the premature electrical activity where exactly it's developing, that we will be monitoring by having the invasive electrophysiology studies. The types of dysarrhythmias. Dysarrhythmias originating from SA node is classified into sinus bradycardia, sinus tachycardia, and sinus arrest. And rhythm originating in atria, so that is called as atrial flutter, atrial fibrillation, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, premature atrial contraction. And rhythm originating in the atrioventricular junction, that's we called as premature junctional complex, junctional escape rhythm, junctional tachycardia. And rhythm originating in ventricles we call as premature ventricular contraction, ventricular fibrillation, and ventricular tachycardia. And rhythm originating in sinoatrial node. So the first one is sinus bradycardia. Bradycardia, here we can see the rhythm will be regular and only the heart rate will be less than 60 beats per minute, and the ventricular rate will be slower. And the treatment is atropine, that is an anticholinergic drug that used to pick up the heart rate, and the pacemaker therapy. Mainly we will start with the temporary pacemaker therapy. Here you can see the ventricular rate is slower, but the rhythm is normal, only the ventricular rate is slower. And coming to the sinus tachycardia. Sinus tachycardia, here the rhythm is initiated in the sinoatrial node, and the greater rate, only the heart rate will be 100. And here also ECG with a normal, ECG will be normal, and it is based on, treatment will be based on underlying cause, and mainly we will be treating hypovolemia. Sometimes if you are treating hypovolemic shock, we are giving fluids for a long time without monitoring, that may leads to tachycardia. And in certain situation, to bring down the heart rate, we will give IV adenosine or beta adrenergic blockers to decrease the heart rate. And here you can see that the ECG is a normal upright P wave and lead to proceeding every QRS complex, indicating that the Pacemaker is coming from the sinus node only, but the atrial rate is higher. You can see it's above 100 beats per minute. And next to sinus arrest. Sinus node automaticity is decreased and impulse are not formed when expected. And here you can see there will be an absence of P wave and the QRS complex for 3 seconds. So very fast we have to act to regain the patient. So very fast we should give injection atropine 0.5 to 1 mg IV to increase the heart rate and start the pacemaker therapy. Sinus arrest, here you can see that ECG in between there is a straight line. It shows that for a few seconds there is an absence of conduction, and further we are starting the treatment immediately it started conducting. Rhythms originating in atria. Atrial flutter, it's a single atrial ectopic focus firing at a rate of 250 to 350 beats, and here mainly ventricular response is slower, usually a multiple of atrial rate. So when we are comparing with the QRS complex, you can see the ECG will be having more P waves than the QRS complex. So normally the contraction of atria we are getting a P wave, and that is called the depolarization of atria we are getting a P wave, and the depolarization of ventricle we are getting a QRS complex, and repolarization, that is the relaxation of ventricle, we are getting a T wave. And here normally the contraction of atria will be followed by contraction of ventricle, that is the contraction of depolarization of atria followed by depolarization of ventricle. But here what will happen, it will not acting in a systematic manner or a principle, so its own, the atria will be acting its own more time than the ventricle. So that's what the atrial beat is more than the ventricular beat. For 2-3 P wave we will be getting on QRS complex. And P wave are replaced by flutter waves, and the P wave sometimes we may be finding very difficult to differentiate. It will be like a flutter waves and takes on a short tooth appearance. You can see that the P wave is not a P wave, it's a flutter wave. You can see it's a short tooth per turn, it's a flutter wave. Treatment, we will give the calcium channel blocker like injection amlodipine or verapamil, and beta adrenergic blockers like injection atenolol or metoprolol or cardioversion. Cardioversion is sending electric shocks to the heart through electrodes placing on the chest. Coming to the atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation is an abnormal rhythm originating from a multiple ectopic focus in the atrium. So instead of SA node, there will be a multiple ectopic focus. Ectopic beats will be producing other than the conduction system. Normal principle actually it should be this conduction system will be starting from the SA node, that is called the pacemaker of the heart. But what will happen in atrial fibrillation, instead of the conduction starting from SA node, there will be a multiple ectopic focus will be, electrical activity will be starting other than the conduction system, that is from other than the SA node. And it is disorganized twitching of the atria at a rate greater than 350 beats per minute. Here you can see that it's not the conduction system of atria, so somewhere the electrical impulse, so these are the ectopic beats, it's started other than the conduction system, it's outside of the SA node. Treatment, again calcium channel blocker, the drug of choice is injection diltiazem. Beta adrenergic blockers, that is metoprolol, digoxin, amiodarone, amiodarone 50 mg, diluting and slow IV we will give, and again cardioversion. Next, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. It's a type of dysarrhythmia originating in an ectopic focus anywhere above the bifurcation of the bundle of discs. So, normal impulse, it will be starting from SA node to AV node, then bundle of discs. But here what will happen, it will be the ectopic focus or the ectopic impulse will be starting above the bifurcation of the bundle of discs anywhere. You can see that it's all the ectopic beats. treatment, again beta adrenergic blockers, we can give atenolol or metoprolol. Next, rhythms originating in the atrioventricular junction. Premature junctional complex, it occurs when an ectopic beat originates from a site in the atrioventricular junction outside the normal cardiac cycle. Here the premature junctional complex, it will be, there is no need of giving any treatment because spontaneously the rhythm will be reverted to a normal rhythm. This is the premature contraction, that is the the electrical impulse started, the condition is starting outside of the electrical activity. Next is the junctional escape rhythm, and here what will happen means when the atrial rate is slow, usually less than 30 beats per minute, and the atrioventricular node assumes responsibility for facing the heart at a rate of 35 to 60. So here what will happen means the atria will not take, the SA node will not be acting as a pacemaker of the heart. So what will happen in case the SA node is not able to take the charge to send the impulse between 60 to 100 beats per minute, the absence of SA node, and in case any occasion the SA node is not functioning, AV node will be taking the charge, but the AV node could not send the impulse as like SA node. Here there will be a dropping of heart rate. That's what happening in the junctional escape rhythm. The rate will be dropped between less than 60, that is between 35 to 60. Here you can see there is that's a delaying in the conduction system since the SA node is not acting, only AV node is taking the charge. That's what it's the delaying in the conduction system. The next is the junctional tachycardia. It occurs when the atrioventricular node becomes irritable. The AV node is irritable or overrides the sinus impulses, become the primary pacemaker at the rate greater than 60 beats per minute. Here you can see that the heart rate is more because it's a junctional rhythm. The treatment, so it will be depend upon the symptoms. Atropine will be given, and in case accelerated junctional rhythm, we will be giving beta adrenergic blockers, calcium channel blockers, injection amiodarone 150 mg, and the cardioversion, that is the electric shock to the heart through the electrodes placed on the chest. Then rhythms originating in ventricles. Premature ventricular contraction. So premature ventricular contraction is an ectopic beat originating from a site in the ventricles outside of the normal cardiac cycle. Here you can see the premature ventricular contraction, that is the ventricular bigeminal. You can see in between the ectopic beats, that is the impulse is outside of the conduction system. It's outside of the bundle of discs. Anywhere the impulse will be started, that is prematurely. That's how the client will be getting the premature beats, that is the ectopic beats. Treatment, again beta adrenergic blockers, procainamide and amiodarone or lidocaine. Coming to the ventricular fibrillation. So the ventricular fibrillation, if a premature ventricular contraction falls on a T wave, it may precipitate ventricular fibrillation. And treatment, immediate initiation of CPR. So premature this ventricular fibrillation, there will be fall in T wave. Here what will happen means the patient will be started fainting and go into unconsciousness, and any time the patient will go for arrest. So we should be very alert. The patient has a ventricular defibrillation, emergency measures, everything we should keep it ready for intubation, and better start CPR and all advanced cardiac life support measures with the defibrillation to save the life of the patient. So that is the ventricular fibrillation. Ventricular tachycardia occurs when there are 3 or more consecutive premature ventricular contraction. So the more than 3 consecutive premature ventricular contraction, that is ventricular tachycardia. And treatment, here we will assess the hemodynamically stable The patient should be hemodynamically stable, and we can give injection amiodarone or lidocaine. And if the patient is unstable, so if the patient is stable, all the parameters is in normal, that is ECG, heart rate, respiration, saturation, everything is normal, means we can give, depend upon the pulse, after checking the pulse, we can give amiodarone or lidocaine. And in case the hemodynamically unstable, if the patient is having an abnormal heart rate or that respiration or the SpO2 level, better we can check, after checking the pulse, better we can plan for a cardioversion. And in case if there is a pulseless ventricular tachycardia, immediately defibrillation should be given. Thank you.